If you wanna stay with me, if you wanna try, maybe you could be with me, but only for the night.
Good evening and welcome to Anime Analyst. I am your host, Thomas Fry.
And I am your co-host Hasnan Zaidi.
And good evening and welcome to tonight's show where we are doing How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. So, this is a show about everything you should not do when doing something. So, it's one of those. It has 2 seasons, 12 episodes each season. Season 1 came out in 2018. The original licensor of this was Funimation, is the Ajadu Studio. It's from a light novel. Its genre is an action fantasy ikai, which I don't know what the ECCHI is on that. And they put the isekai down in the theme, which I don't get that. The genre is isekai, so following my paperwork that I always follow, it seems someone got lazy on the typewriter on this one. They put different things where they shouldn't go, so whenever I come off sounding like I'm not getting this information right, a lot of the times it's not typed in or in the right line, and they got different headings on it, so sometimes, even though I've pre-read it, I still have to go back. It still catches me off guard. This is PG-13 with a specified teens 13 or older. I don't know why. They don't always specify it, but sometimes they do. So when they add that, I'm going to go ahead and add that. Alright, now this thing has a score of 6.84. It is ranked 4,979, and our rule of thumb here at Anime Analyst is anything 5,000 or lower is considered a top anime. But the part that gets me, the popularity on this one is 273, and that's like, that makes it a super anime, because if you're below 500, you are in the top. Our top 500 would be what other shows and other things call their top 10. There's just so many animes out there that, you know, are I don't know about you, but if we had to say what is our top 10 animes, how long do you think it would take you to come up with that top 10 list? It'd take me a month, because
It is not a single day job. Like, you cannot just start rank. You have to compare each and everything. And I have a question about the genre of this anime. Can you see like if also genre for getting a harem? Because this dude get
oh
the harem.
yeah, they put that in theme. The theme of this whole thing is harem. And I apologize. I started talking about the isekai and I completely missed the theme, never even said it. Yes, this is a harem. But for anybody who's already seen this is a TNA show from beginning to end. I don't know, did you catch the artist thing that they did at the end of every episode? Or were you skipping the ends and the beginnings?
No, I skipped it.
Okay,
I
on this, go back and check them all out now, because you missed something tremendous. At the end of every episode is the illustrators, a beautiful drawing, like artwork that's on the cover of the thing. That level of artwork at the end of every episode, the last 5 seconds, is an artwork. And let me tell you, if you don't understand that this is kind of a slightly raunchy, bordering, hentai bordering porno, you'll get it when looking at those, because
Yeah, but
they.
there is another strange things that happen in the anime, and he realized after some time that he's groping some girls there.
Oh, well, yeah, that happens like every single episode. I mean, we got some serious. You got girls groping guys, guys groping girls. Um, and in season one, you even have when Berger, when he jumps down from that building and he knocks Shira up into the air, where he lands right on Diablo's face. Um, that scene always got me on that. All right, so tonight is our longer show. We're moving it from Friday up to Wednesday, so that way people that want to go out and hang out on the weekends. We had a couple people tell me, "Hey man, I'd watch it on Friday, but gotta head out. You guys are at like 7 p.m. right when the
Mm.
evening starts." So we're moving our longer to where we do multiple season um multiple season animes where we can talk about the whole thing, because sometimes it messes with you when you have to separate that into a short show and explain that. But season 1 is now, to me, it almost seems like there's a different, either a different writer or a different director from the first season to the second season. Now, there was a time gap in there. Second season came out in 22, so there's a 4-year gap in the original. And then also there's a double summon version, which is in German and Japanese, and I didn't watch that one. I've only seen the 2 seasons, season 1 and 2 dubbed. I mean, I've seen it all the way through many times. I bet you I've watched this anime probably 10, 15 times, because Rem is one of my favorite. Her being a Pantherian woman, she's one of my favorite characters in an anime. To me, she just exudes cool. You know, I mean, she goes with the flow, and all of us, we try to do our best going with the flow, but sometimes we get irritated and all that. Shira's working on a lower single point um, IQ, so she doesn't always get things, but she can grasp things. Um, I don't know. I'd say I don't want to say it because I will get beat up in the comments if I go any further than that. But um, she needs to work on a few things. But all right, so the first one, the first season is he gets isekai'd into where he is the demon lord in the original game, and he's a self-proclaimed 40-year-old virgin, and because he says it several times, where he's had countless conversations with women in game, and that's it. He's not had them in person, so he struggles throughout both seasons. Never really gets. He gets a little better towards the end, but he struggles with it. Um, but
Yeah, but don't you think like this is something like moonlit fantasy? Like uh,
wow.
he gets, yeah, the thing that I'm talking about, like not like about story or something, about the main character. Like he get isekai to the different world, and two girls are there. I know, but in Moonlit there was not already like he found in the coming way, but he was above any level he faced any enemy there. And same here, like he cannot even measure his powers when they go to the guild, and on the mirror they were checking their levels. the mirror is not able to access his the main character Diablo's power.
Yeah, but I mean that's two completely different ends of the in Moonlit Fantasy. He's stuck at level 1, but he has godlike powers. In this one, he starts at the highest level you can be, 150, and but even at that point, there's a limitation to his power. Hey, you know what? We are allowed to disagree in our assessments and assumptions. I kind of don't see it. To me, I think this is more about, having a harem, because there's real no harem in Moonlight Fantasy either, where there's a
Yeah,
complete.
on the Heron thing, they went little bit further. Like,
Oh,
which was the episode when he was take trying to transfer his magic to that girl?
oh yeah, and the how do you want to put it? What's the word for it? Innuendos. The assumptions that the writer wants you to think of what happened on at the tower when he was trying to get the demon lord out, where the accessible area to get to her stomach was not through her stomach, was through
Mm.
a hole that already existed. To me, this is a definitely, I would call this rated R. I don't even see how they call this. The TV monitor people don't consider nudity rated R anymore. When I was growing up, it was rated R. Now it's not, and they go. To me, this is a rated R anime. This is all about um, tits and ass. I mean, there's no other nice way to say it. Every other scene is he's in a
Yeah,
position, the girls are stripping around him.
if you go to the first episode of season 2, when they introduce the new character and he fall from the sky, the character is without clothes, and the other two girls they're talking about like taking a sun bath. So like this show is just been revolving around like they're finding ways so where they have to take off their clothes.
Now, let me ask you this. Would you consider the character Diablo in this anime, would you consider him cool?
The only thing that attracted me was like how he's doing like two personality at one time. Like he decided on the first season of first episode that I'm going to play the role of the demon lord, but in the real life he's an introvert that he can't even talk to girls. Like he was confused when he saw two girls sitting with him, and he the main concern he had like how I can talk to them.
I mean, he
So then
freaked out about being kissed on the very first scene of of season 1, episode 1, and it doesn't get at the end of, in episode 10 of season 2, he still was freak out from a simple touch by, I mean, when he was charging up his, what was her name? I don't know if it's on there. No, it's not even on my list. Rose. When he was charging up Rose, he had a problem. I mean, that was just an out and outright sex scene that they weren't showing. And when it's all said and done, he stuck his thumbs in her charge holes, like a USB cord, and he had issues with that. Um, but all right, season 1 had a story, and they followed that story beginning to end. Now, about the only thing he did cool in the whole thing that I considered, though it's funny, but I guess respectful. The only respectful thing he did was when he was fighting the 100 fallen, and he worried about his friend Rem, and poof, all of a sudden he had um what do you call the transportation when it's
teleport,
huh?
that the teleport spell.
Yeah, he had a teleport spell, but Now, that's the easiest way on the planet to move around, and they never used it anywhere else. He only used it that one time, and that was it. He didn't
Yeah,
use.
like in the first season, like he realized that he has to walk everywhere, like there is no shortcut. But in the later, they said like he can use teleportation. And in the season 2, now they are showing that he can fly with the objects.
Yeah,
So
that one got me too. All of a sudden, he just started flying. In the beginning of season two, he could get up on an object, he could make an object fly, and then he could stand on it. But towards the end of season two, he was just flying around with no object. Because when he did that whole thing in episode 10, and,
and
trying.
I think you were right. Like if you compare season 1 to season 2, like in season 2, they only have like a church that they are going to fight against the corruption of somebody that is misusing their place, and they are doing all that. But in season 1 they are building characters, they are introducing new characters, like the scene when they have the invisible army thing. And we miss one thing, like they have the incest brothers that want to have kids with the, what was the name, let me, the the Greenwood Shera brother.
Oh, yeah, he definitely that leader of the elves had lost his mind on that, and I mean, he left such a little mark on it. I actually forgot about him till you mentioned his name was Nee or Nye, something like that. And yeah, he was trying to bring,
His name was Kira Greenwood.
Oh, okay. Well, I knew it was something short. I didn't give him no respect because there was nothing there to respect.
Yeah, I
Um,
know there's nothing to reason to respect, but I was just saying like they they were keeping story from one place to another place. Like they were moving with the pace. They have the every episode is different. Like they are
that's
mix.
kind of what I was bringing up. Is season one they followed a really good storyline. There was cause and effect. It was all done proper. It was in order. And season two was, as you said, it was basically one character, one incident. They were helping that character deal with that incident, and it took them to a couple of places. And now here's something that gets me, and I'm gonna call them out on this. And even though I like this anime, but there was a problem in season one. The rivers and seas were water. In season two, the rivers and seas were sand. Did you catch that?
No, I like did they mention it, or like
Oh
it was
no, they
in the
out and
background?
outright show. I mean, he when he was fighting the Fallen, he blew away that bridge. He blew away the water. He blew away the base of the river. And then when they went to they were showing rebuilding the bridge in the very next episode, and they built the walls, the coffer dams, and they were building new bridge and everything. But in season two, they took in the very second episode when they were going out to the city to talk to the paladin of the church. They took a boat that sailed in the sand sea, and he said they got lost, so it took a 2 week boat ride that should have been really short. So their seas were, everything was completely different. There was water in the first one, and no, and yeah, I can see someone's thing on that, but they just went from water. The seas were the started out as water, and then it became sand.
But
That Go ahead.
but there is another point, like the story is revolving around like every one of his girls getting injured, and he's just trying to heal them.
Um, yeah, I mean, if are you talking about the null disease?
No, every other time, like he has to use potion on his girls. Like whenever, like somebody, every time his girls they are getting injured by some either a disease or somebody attack.
They got he went through a bunch of potions in the first season. Um and he even when she got kidnapped, when Shira got kidnapped, it was kidnapped right while he was making potions, and they went through like a bunch of them in season 1. um I don't even, honestly, I don't remember. Maybe I just don't remember it, but I don't remember a whole lot of potions in season 2. um to me, season 1 was full of injuries, and they were building. He had to remake them, and he made a comment that before all they had to do was push a button to create potion. And in this world, he actually had to take his hands. He had to go buy the ingredients. He had to hold the bottles in one hand and the ingredients in the other, and then he would look into the abyss, and poof, his hands would make, and he made all the potions. It was kind of, I cracked up on that one. It just, season 1, the story there was a timeline. In season 2, it just seemed like it was a little bit all over the place. Um, and don't get me wrong, it's funny, and I've watched it 10, 15 times, but it didn't make a lot of. I've watched it that many times, and I still don't understand the whole second season of what they were trying to do, where they. I mean, I get the main principle of helping the what was her name? Now I can't remember her name. Main character. I can't help or can't remember her name. Um, but I mean, she's not even a main enough character to get mentioned in the thing. Uh, but yeah, they were all over the place in the second season, and man, I could I apologize. My character list for season 2 got disappeared off the screen, so I can't redo that and talk at the same time and run the board and everything else. So I apologize if the last 5 minutes seems a little screwy around here, but every once in a while this will happen, and I lost my character list, so I apologize for that. Uh, okay, and to get my train of thought back in place, because when that messes with you and you're live and you're trying to do the show, it just it gets rough, and it makes it really hard to get back on track with what you were thinking and what you wanted to say. Um, but he goes out. All right, second season. First thing he does, he tests a new spell. The whole season begins and ends with him testing a new spell. And they're doing some quests along the way, having some fun. He finds the head paladin, the head priest, in the woods. I love some of the summoned characters that they have in the show. A trap worm that instantly comes into the ground, and I, great on that. And he's
But
holding.
don't you think like the summons characters that are bound to the guy or girl who summon them is like they're keeping them with like pet with a collar on around their neck, like like have to like it is like having a pet with the collar around their neck, and like they could have shown anything like any other thing like to bind them, but like even a tattoo or like something like they are bind in a human
Well, they're
metal cloth.
being in this anime. They're bound by the crystal, because when they die, I don't know if you saw that. they would go back into the crystal. They always, like when she brought out her Trihorn bull when they were fighting the Fallen in Petra City in the first series. And you know, this dude, he punches this bull and kills it. The bull goes right. You see her hand as she grums and grabs that crystal again. So it's the crystal that holds the owner's part. And whoever throws the crystal is who that summoned is. At least that's what I saw. How I saw it being connected. You know, how they maintained ownership. There's a lot of different ways in a lot of different animes of how ownership. A lot of times you name the creature, and and that's the way I'm used to, is you name the creature, you give up some of your magic, and that binds you and your summon back and forth. Black Summoner is really good about that, of explaining how summons work, how you can pull them, even if you don't understand their language, you can feel what they're talking about and all that. They don't go into any of that depth in this. They leave everything on the face. To me, it's more or less how often they can get a character stripped down in every episode, versus explaining any of the backstory. And that's my only complaint about this. And it's a good, it's fun to watch anime, but you're not going to get anything serious out of it. So you want a good laugh, you want to see multiple size assets. You want to see, cute girls. You want to see stuff like this. I mean, yeah, they get it. Now, in the dungeon, and this is a question of mine, when in most of the dungeons that I've seen in animes, when an animal or a creature that's in that dungeon gets killed, it takes a certain amount of time to build up the magic again to have that creature resummon. And this dragon, who's a 40-year-old, or let me rephrase that, a 300-year-old virgin, which he feels for the dragon, they were talking like it was gone and gone forever. It wasn't a respawn, and I thought all the creatures that were in dungeons they're there because they can respawn. You wouldn't want an animal, otherwise, it was on level 12, otherwise that level would then be unprotected, and basically it'd be an empty hallway. You come down off 11, walk through 12, and poof, you're to 13. But they don't show any of that, they don't explain any of that, which is all good with me, but I guess that was not the purpose of this anime. So, but as far as it goes, this is, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's funny. It'll keep you laughing. The artist is, and when they made this show, it was definitely about the girls and his little harem and showing all that. So it's good for a good laugh. Enjoy the anime. You got anything else you want to say about it?
No, I think we talked about all the things, we discussed it, and it is a good anime. Like, we can watch it. Like, I didn't get bored watching it, but like
Yeah, it
we
does keep the.
have.
You're right. You're right about that. And maybe that's why I've watched it so many times, because I try to rewatch it. And you know me, I want to figure stuff out, but there's no figuring nothing out. But it definitely is worth. You will be interested and fun watching it. Just then go on to something else that you want to. And so this is Anime Analyst. I'm your host, Thomas Fry.
And I am your co-host, Husnain Zaidi.
And we'd like to thank you for coming and hanging out with us. And we will see you here tomorrow at 7 p.m. So have a good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.